Well, good afternoon. I'm Norbert Putra. Normally, I'm the host of CBC Trails End, but today we are off the trail, locked out, and live. And as most of you may know, 3 weeks ago, CBC, our employer, locked us out, and that was after 15 months trying to negotiate a new collective agreement. It all went to hell, as they say, and they locked us out before we could call a strike. So I guess they beat us to the punch. The big issue on the table, of course, is contracting out. They want more flexibility, and we want job security. But in the meantime, we're stuck here with nothing better to do. I guess what we're going to do now is give you what we do the best. So we set up here outside the post office in downtown Yellowknife to bring you a show the only way we can. And usually I work alone, but today I made an exception to the rule because these are exceptional times, and I've agreed to share the mic with my colleague from CBC Television, the reporter, Mr. Lee Selleck.
Literally sharing the mic. Thanks a lot, Norbert. And much as it's true, I do television reporting, but I've spent so much time on radio these days that I kind of feel like an honorary radio reporter. Either media, it's been a privilege over the years to bring stories to Northerners that other media either can't or won't tackle. And that's one of the key roles of public broadcasting. It's the CBC's job to do in-depth coverage and to do stories that take a lot of research and keep on top of those stories. It's the CBC's job to get into the smaller communities where there's not enough profit to attract the private broadcasters. And the reality is that CBC right now has completely abandoned its crucial public service to the north. We reporters, frankly, think it's a disgrace, and we are embarrassed about it, even though it is CBC management that's responsible for it, not us. But hey, you don't want to hear me going on about this. We all think that we do important jobs, and I might get carried away. So instead, we asked Tiffany Thiem to go and talk to people on the street about what they think about the CBC lockout.
I think in many ways CBC was a creative leader. Over the years, it seems like a lot of that's been taken away from the CBC. And it's got to have I guess the CBC has a tough job competing with satellite, cable, the number of channels that are available. To be honest with you, I think it's lost a little bit of its role as a part of our national identity, if you want to call it that.
So how do you feel about the lockout?
I think it's a bit excessive because I think that these guys are well paid, and I think that they could work it out otherwise because it's not like they're broke, and I think that they don't need to be doing this. In general, I think it's needed. I think it provides a necessary service. It helps keep Canada distinct, and it just provides a service that we as a country need.
How do you feel about the lockout?
We miss the 10 o'clock CBC News with Peter Mansbridge.
So it's affected you a little bit?
Yes, it has. Yep.
How do you feel about the CBC in general?
We like CBC. It's Canadian, and I think we should be supporting Canadian broadcasting and Canadian talent, Canadian news, and the entertainment area.
Well, I don't really understand what's going on. I heard that they hired other people to take their place, and I don't understand why they would do that as a company. Why would they wouldn't support the union that's been there this whole time? Yeah. I've never had a problem with them, so I don't see what's going on at all.
Parties should come together to resolve this matter and to identify the issues, and if necessary, to take it to arbitration. Well, like a variety of things about CBC. I wish it would still pursue Aboriginal programming more and look at the big issues regarding First Nations matters. Simply, there's no media in Canada that pursues the wide range of academic debate on First Nations issues, and CBC is a good one to do it. They've got lots of experienced journalists who have studied the matter for many years.
Well, it would be a whole lot better for everybody if they could get together and work out the disagreements.
Yeah. What do you feel about the CBC in general?
In general, they provide a pretty good service. I'm certainly happy with it. It's nice to have the background, and I particularly like the Canadian movies like Da Vinci.
I don't really know anything about it or care about it, but I know that CBC television is better than ever right now because it's full of good movies and they're just playing it, and there's not and just fillers. That's my opinion.
How do you feel about the CBC in general?
CBC's good. I used to watch it when I was growing up. I was just raised on it like many Northerners are. And watching CBC is just Canadian patronage.
They got a lot of good programming that I normally listen to. Being from Tuktoyaktuk, I normally listen to the CBC radio station during my lunch hours. It's my way of keeping in touch with home, and I feel kind of, I guess, lost without it. Yeah.
I don't watch or listen to CBC, so really it doesn't affect me in any great way. I mean, I'm sorry for the workers, but that's life with the union.
Well, I think that the contract that they want to get, or they want more people to, because I know some people that do that, they end up working on a yearly basis, and you just never know. You know, sometimes it gets turned around and sometimes it doesn't, but it's nice to know that you have a job. So I can see why they're pushing to stop the contract work.
I'm disappointed. CBC is a very important feature here in the north, and we need to have our updates on what's happening in the communities. And with local weather, it's a little disturbing when we don't get that kind of information. We have to rely on national services that don't really meet our needs up here. So
I think it sucks. I mean, you ever try watching a football game with nothing, no one talking? It's hard.
Are you a little bit nervous for the hockey season now?
Yes. Especially since we've been waiting a year for hockey anyways.
Well, we got to get them back to work because hockey's been gone for a year, and we got to have hockey this October. So CBC, settle with these guys.
I think it's truly unfair. It's something that we really need, and it's important, especially the news to me, and the sports, of course. And there's a lot of information that goes on throughout the territories, and right up until Alberta. It's televised quite wide, and it's important.
I support the employees that are locked out 100%. I watch the CBC National News, which I don't anymore, and I don't get that coverage, so it has affected me to a certain degree about news internal to Canada.
I miss the local programming quite a lot, but I have to say it's interesting to hear BBC. There's some cool stuff.
How do you feel about the CBC in general?
It's good. I grew up with the CBC, with like kind of Saturday night hockey, like on dun, 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 dun. So I'm all about it. So
excellent.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Well, the question that I hear most from people out there is, how long is this mess going to continue? And of course, I love to make predictions and analyze things and so on, but on this one I have really no special inside knowledge. And for that, we're going to turn to Dave Miller, who is the Canadian Media Guild's national representative the North's national representative to the Canadian Media Guild. So Dave, how long is this mess going to continue?
Well, we know it's not going to take another 15 months because we know the CBC has been badly hurt by the bad public relations they've got by locking us out. So it's not going to take 15 months, but it is going to take a while yet because of the foot dragging over that past 15 months. We've got about 35 articles that still haven't been dealt with, and these are non-controversial articles on top of the more serious issues that we have to deal with. Right now, we have the union and the corporation back at a preliminary negotiating table, but those talks are just basically designed to see if they can get negotiations going again. So we don't know how long, but it's not going to be 15 months.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. However, so what are the big issues that are outstanding right now?
Well, the biggest issue of all is job security, and the corporations demand that they have the right to be able to turn about half of our permanent workforce into contract positions. Obviously, we care about that a great deal, and we believe our listeners should care as well, because if you have a temporary workforce, a workforce of freelancers who are running around chasing contract jobs in the broadcast industry at the whims of the job market, you'll have people who just don't have the same degree of commitment to public broadcasting, and we believe that is the real spark, that commitment to public broadcasting that makes our programming great. So that's a very important matter to us. Another issue which is related to that is the corporation wanting to have a totally free hand in taking whole segments of what the public broadcaster does and turning it over to the private sector without any due consideration to the employees who were doing that work beforehand. So those are amongst the major issues. I have to say that money hasn't been a major issue. We haven't even had a chance to talk about that yet.
I hope that they do get to it, but that said, what can Northerners do to put an end to this, to help put an end to it?
Well, they can do what they've been doing in great numbers up to this point over the past 3 weeks where we have been locked out. They've been flocking to our information tables, and they've been signing the petition that we have laid out for them. It's a petition asking the Government of Canada to put pressure on the corporation to end this lockout and to negotiate reasonably, intelligently, and fairly with its workers. They also have been signing in great numbers a form letter that we've been presenting to them, to our Member of Parliament, Ethelblond and Andrew. In that a letter, we're asking our listeners and our viewers to let Ethel know what their favorite programs are that they miss, and we're sending those letters in. And I think we have about 150 of those letters so far. It's looking like we have about 400 people who have signed our petition so far. And those are the kinds of things that they have been doing, and those are the kinds of things that will make a difference, because, in fact, the CBC management is very thin-skinned, politicians are very thin-skinned, and they all care about holding on to their jobs. And I think that if they don't respond, in fact, some of these people might not hold on to their jobs.
Funny that, caring about holding on to your jobs. At any rate, thanks very much, Dave. And Norbert?
Thank you very much, Lee. And just a reminder that we have some of the languages that the Aboriginal programmers that will give you a summary in the languages of what this is actually really about. Now, over the past 3 weeks, all regional programming has been replaced by scaled-down newscasts and reruns coming out of Toronto. And we know many viewers and listeners across the country have started switching to other channels. But where do Northerners turn to find out what's going on in their communities without the CBC? And joining me to talk about what the impact the lockout has outside of Yellowknife, or in Yellowknife as well, for those Aboriginal broadcasters or broadcast Aboriginal listeners, I guess. Sabette Biscay is the former director of the Language Bureau. She's also the former executive director for Native Communication Society. Now, Sabette, what are you hearing from people outside of Yellowknife since the lockout began?
People miss, especially the Aboriginal language programming. A lot of the elders are not getting the news that are going on. For example, yesterday there was elections in the Cleancho region, and a lot of people don't know about it. I think people would have been curious to know about it. CKLB has been providing some coverage, but they don't have the same resources and I guess human resources available to provide the same level of coverage. So it's missed, I know, especially for the Aboriginal language programming in the communities.
And do you think people understand why their usual programming is off the air?
I don't think most people in the community level know. All they know is that the CBC is on strike. That means they're not working. I don't think they have a complete understanding of what's the reason. Like, there's a difference. You guys are on a lockout. You're locked out. You're not on strike. There is a difference, and I don't think people really know that. And ironically, the reason people don't know it is the best way for people to get the information is through you guys, and you're not there.
And you know, there's a big argument about this being a multi-channel universe. There's the internet. There's other stations. There's other TV and radio stations. Do you think the CBC has become irrelevant, as a lot of people are saying?
No, I don't think so. I mean, especially here in the territories where most of the people in the communities, I know for the communities, the Chip 1 communities, 3 o'clock, it's Chip 1 hour on CBC. You switch to it. All the elders, you go to most communities, that's what happens. So that's how people get their information, especially the community residents, if they want the information, entertainment, this and that. You have other radio stations, but I think for information's sake, the regional news and so forth, you do get it from CBC. So it does have a lot of relevance here in territories. And internet, I mean, honestly, how many people in the communities have access to internet and all that information network? And when you look at TV, all the information, the news is from down south. So they want to know about what's happening here in their language.
All right. Thank you, Sabette.
You're welcome, Norbert, and good luck.
Now, many people in the communities across the Northwest Territories and Nunavut depend on the CBC for all of their news and information, and that's especially true for people that speak Aboriginal languages. And I'm sure as many of them are left in the dark as long as this lockout goes on. And joining me now with some of our Aboriginal broadcasters to give us a short explanation and update in their own languages.
Masi Norbert Cecilia Peter Open de John Saudi days I got like the Cleancho get Harriet Paul the Digit good Tony Buggen to it the inside got it in Jatikan I go de Dinjuit Joat Diles Silagadra the ida jo kon di ta go ti tu kha de san da ja thi gen da he gu te na khi khwe go tha chu ta go ti en da sen son di la di CBC go he ta si the sa go ti ni gu si gon di ni te la ga samba kyo di a sa go ti en da sen ho ki kha gon di le e ti la tane e ga lai te jun da go along di sa ti tu kha de san da khi jo CBC radio kan di TV kan di go a ga lai ta la gi samba zone right ta di ti le tane koni kan di na hen da gu si ga e ti jun da ni te la tu kha de sa la ko tsana di da di jo tso ge se kan di ni te la ga e ji ga chu go tsa gen di e ji kan di sa te ta sin chu ke tse te kha jong di ta si chong jun da ni te chu on da ge ja ni te chu go tsana di ti a si a jong kan di da hi tu la ga ti da si kan di da ga se la o jun da tene koni go wa la gi a mi cho kyoni se ni te la gi sau đó sa còn đi còn đi cái đấy còn đi sa contract cái đi gì ta ra sao đi đó ấy gì rồi sa cái là cái đấy cái chuyện đó tao đi samba có thể đi có khơi đi cái đó điều chúng tôi sẽ thấy đi sẽ chúng còn đi cái bên cái ta làm đi có thể ô tô có được gì cái này thì đấy sa chú cái đi cái đó đi ta thấy có thể để là cái trong egalai ta tong di ne jun da go atlanta hi kwen ko thanda hera sonda ga ne jun egala chun da ga sa go ti ida ji county go sa go gen de ti da si kha jong di sonda hi kwen ko tha chu da go ti na sen son di la ki ne jun chumbe o kyo da shon le ta go ti down di da gi radio ke tlerona heo gen de le ko di chu le go tha da go ti na sen son di da ti kago tia go tira da hinchu da sida ga tile ni te chumbe go kwande ko tsedute CBC jet molande kan di Ottawa kajandi ji chutule da go tse kon dira chugo tsera tleji kajandi ida tu kara sa CBC ji la government ji chu la di teneko ke gunde CBC go tse di union kan di get di chu CBC in lege di ji kajang di da tu kara sala kalanda go tse jun da go anite da ki da he ga ne jun radio ke ga la tan di ten sa di ti tenegu li ki en da gu si gi oto ko du chi ge ni de ni te gi se ne jun da ga tu town di kon di ga la ta ji kago ti le da ji kago dia go ti na da hi jun da da sana theni te se o ti chona tse ga de le federal government in le CBC go di go tse kon di ninda a ji kago ti go ti jo Jennifer na he go dia
Koyan na mi Peter te mari kawi mayigo ta kwanuna vumion amisum magari CBC na raw tikun amaru tadavisa kun ni tau to katamata Pilot mi CBC igalami ang maruta ko Joanna avakunaraw tiko katamata pivadleyo ni okaw sa kakatahluting. Kawi makoy ito'y naktugo, kinaw Jackson ni pidjuta kangin darik tugo, takwa CBC naraw tiko kung nangin nivod, taravisa ko kung nangin nivudlo. Taman na kinaw Jackson okaw sa kayaw ng maringman. Taman na rin kanayavon, pidjuti kayaw mata, takwa CBC ko kaksimang mata, ikanaya kayaw yun, avadloangi akiyakta kayaw mata. Tamak ko contract ngok titaw katang na akod lugi temeri nga tillugi ta ko ikanayak tingi contract ngi isuriga ta nokak titaw yung nakatagayang mata taman na rin na magingin lakik tavon ikanayak tu yugo CBC kunni o kakluta ta ko unuruak tillugi contract taw si mayon magkuhan ikanaya kadlakik tut amisungin naksaw gayang mata amalo takuksaw tikatak tavon piyungin naksaw katagayang mata Amaro tamatami nga ang katigik si mangitiluta o bago ang iyok hangin no kigod jaw raw kata ang niyakod luta kinaw jak sang ngitiluta Amaro taman na magiyaw ngitula magayong makawi mayigo nuna vumyo no asingin no lo CBC kun ninara sunon Amaro te may ringatiluta ikayok tok taw si madlakik tugon inong nitusak si madlakik tugon taman na magiyaw ngin nakaktaw lo ni Amalo te may ringatiluta takwa CBC kun ang iyok hangi tusak paderang mata amalumana ang ikatigiga sa kanilakton Kisiyan nili amisum mata suri ang ikatigigo taw si mangitton amalo takwa union ngoyo ikanayak tinit Kigakto yun, amaro kanataw gava magkomunista nga. Yakanayakto rin mo okaksimang matatakwa, ikayaktitari akaw mata, takwa tamaki ang ikatigigon naksikodlugi. Kasi nili man na motikiuti lugo taman na CBC kunni na magiyaw ngimman. Takwa udlumisuri katimay nakton. Tay Marie Norbert mo uternere vugo.
Thanks, Jennifer and Peter. And of course, CBC definitely has the reputation of being popular with the older crowd, and we're trying to change that in many ways. As a matter of fact, if you listen to my show, we get a little hip. Sometimes we get carried away and we play some music that has some swear words. But I'm not going to take responsibility for that because somebody else did already. But on my show, I like to feature musicians of all ages, including one up-and-coming homie known as Godson. Yellowknife's Aaron Hernandez has released 4 albums, and hopefully the event here will inspire a song. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Aaron Hernandez.
I'm here supporting all the CBC workers here that were locked out, because without a lot of the workers here, I wouldn't be where I am today. And CBC has really helped me with slam poetry and getting out to the northern communities where my popularity has really been crazy. The further you go up north, CBC is my gateway. So I'm here to support CBC, and I'm going to do a song in support of the locked out workers. It's called Get Free. Yeah. I want to dedicate this to all the victims of the New Orleans. Yeah. Yo. Living a life so tense, it doesn't make sense. Let the girl live her life free of self-defense. Quit living in the past, the world has changed. We're not animals, why you keep a locked up cage? Your actions cement a life of torment. Rules can be broken to a certain extent, like religion. I think she's grown to make decisions, taking a stand, deciding your positions. You don't need to depend on your best of friends, you just need to defend this trend to the end. The time you spend denying your boyfriend could lead to a breakdown. Your cry remains hidden like a snake in the grass. At times you may feel like you're front of the gas, but the world ain't gonna end unless you want it to be. Scream out loud, I just wanna get. You need help, huh? Ain't nobody gonna save you but yourself, huh? Feel scared, but get ready to be brave, huh? Right now, breathe in, breathe out your mouth and get your hands up. If you wanna get free, free your mind up. If you're feeling the need, you got things to do, you got things to prove. Stop stalling your life and get ready to move. Get free, let them know what you need. Now get free, let them know what you plead. Cause there's times in life when you just gotta breathe. So please believe that the girls gotta leave. Feeling the need to get away and just breathe. A fast-paced life, accumulate and not full speed. I disagree, you could be worry free. You're not a refugee under lock and key. Don't sneak around, speak out loud. Let them know all the words coming at your mouth. You're living in danger, stranger to strangers. But let her be, cause nobody's gonna change her. You're missing the nightlife, you're missing the wildlife. An unwed woman acting like a housewife. Been through a lot, I know I kinda hurt. All the weight on your shoulders, kinda absurd. You can't be this because you can't do that. If you wanna get with this, then you can't get with that. So wrong, I know you've been chained for so long. I didn't wanna have to be creating this song. You need help, huh? Ain't nobody gonna save you but yourself, huh? Feel scared, but get ready to be brave, huh? Right now, breathe in, breathe out your mouth and get your hands up. If you wanna get free, free your mind up. If you're feeling the need, you got things to do, you got things to prove. Stop stalling your life and get ready to move. Get free, let them know what you need. Now get free, let them know what you plead. Cause there's times in life when you just gotta breathe. So please believe that the girls gotta leave. Destination unknown, get out of the war zone. A home ain't a home if you're feeling alone. So get unglued from your family feud and start doing all the doing that you're ready to do. If you've had enough, then it's time to play rough fight. Tooth and nail and get out of the handcuffs. A man ain't a man if he ain't that tough. but play it your own way and you call his bluff. Let him know you exist, don't back down, resist. That's the first thing to do on your life checklist. I already assume you're living in your bedroom, cause the rest of your house feels like a room. You wanna shake your booty in the clubs and dance, but your family prohibits the act, so you can't. They see left to right and the middle to the east, but they can't see you need to have your rights released. You need help, huh? Ain't nobody gonna save you but yourself, huh? Feel scared, but get ready to be brave, huh? Right there. Breathe in, breathe out your mouth and get your hands up. If you wanna get free, free your mind up. If you're feeling the need, you got things to do, you got things to prove. Stop stalling your life and get ready to get free. Let them know what you need. Now get free. Let them know what you plead. There's times in life when you just gotta breathe. So please believe that the girls gotta leave. Support CBC locked out workers. Godson.
Let's hear it again for Aaron Hernandez as Godson. The longer that this lockout lasts, the more stories there will be that just are not going to be covered. And so to give you a taste of what might have been, CBC reporter Carolyn Ray asked her fellow reporters, what stories would you be covering if you weren't locked out?
Hi, I'm Sydney McDougall. I'm a reporter for CBC Radio. I'm the health reporter, and if I wasn't locked out, the story I would be covering is that there are new guidelines out from the government for nurses called nurse practitioners in the territories. And this is a really important story to people, especially outside of Yellowknife, because this means that some of the things you would have had to go to Yellowknife for, you could now have done in your home community, because the nurse who's trained as a nurse practitioner in your community is allowed to do more stuff. So more checks, dealing with simple fractures on their own, lots of different things, people with chronic diseases, etc. Anyway, that's what I'd be doing.
Hi, I'm Dave Miller. I'm a senior regional reporter, and my specialty is documentaries. And I have to say, I'm really upset about the lockout. The day the lockout started was the day my series on lake trout. It was a wonderful summertime 6-part series on lake trout. That was the day it was supposed to start. I've been working on that for about 3 years, gathering interviews, and I'd spent literally a month putting the project together. And to have our listeners denied of that opportunity to hear what I believe was a wonderful story, to have them denied of that opportunity really is annoying, and I think is really unfair to our listeners. So that's what you'd be listening to if it wasn't for this darn lockout.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Ray, and I'm a reporter for CBC Radio. And if I were not locked out, right now I'd be reporting on the Hook Lake Bison Recovery Project. The deadline is looming for the federal government to step in and invest some money in the project and maybe save some of the calves, and if not, the rest of the herd will be slaughtered. So I would like to be looking into that and talk about the potential and the future of bison in our territory. What's going to happen if this project fails?
Hi, my name's Darren Stewart. I had a couple trips planned. One to the Sawtooth to interview youths about what they identified with culture-wise, both traditional and pop culture. I was there actually on just my own time, and I noticed that they're really into a lot of modern music and clothing and that sort of thing. And yet when they started the hand games, they were, just as into that, and really lit up when you talked about their hand game strategy. So I'd actually pitched a TV documentary on the youth in the community and the culture that they really identify with. And I also had a trip planned to the South Slave to go interview those sickly buffalo.
My name's Richard Gleason. I'm a highly respected reporter here at CBC Radio, and if I wasn't locked out, I would be, I cover court, so there's a big trial going on right now. It's a rerun of a trial that happened about 6 or 8 months ago. 3 men from Blitzokay that are accused of sexually assaulting a woman around 40 years ago, though. And so that's going on this week and next week, but I'm not covering it because I'm locked out. And there's also an RCMP officer in Yellowknife that was accused of assaulting a man here. There's been an investigation of that. The investigation was complete, I heard, just before I was locked out, and so I don't know where that is right now, what the RCMP is doing about that, whether they're going to charge the officer or not. So that's what I would be doing if I wasn't locked out by my bosses.
My name's Jennifer Tilden. I work for CBC North Television, North Beat, and Igalak. The story I'd be working on if I wasn't locked out is a story about inmates that come over from Nunavut and are housed at the Yellowknife Correctional Center that are opting out of going to trial and pleading guilty, whether they're guilty or not, in hopes of getting out sooner. These are inmates that sit in the correctional center waiting to get legal representation because there's such a backlog of people needing that kind of representation out of Nunavut. That's the story I'd like to look into, but unfortunately I'm not going to because I'm locked out.
Hi, my name is Snooky Catholic. I am a reporter for CBC TV North Beat. The stories that I would be covering would probably be the rising price of gas. Like I'm sure a lot of the people in the communities are wondering what's happening there, why there's this, huge hike. And besides that, I would probably be doing something on all these sexual assaults, abuse that's been going on, the things that are happening in Fort Ray. And also some happy stories. That I was working on some profiles that I had done when I was in Fort Chipewyan. Happy stories. I would probably be finishing a few of those off. That's what I would be doing.
My name is Jocelyn Ozenbrug, and I'm a reporter here at the CBC. And there's been a lot of talk in and around Yellowknife about land and acquiring more land and different groups who are interested in land in Yellowknife. And there's a decision that's being made in the coming weeks, I guess, from the Minister of MACA about how that land around Yellowknife is going to be decided and divided. And that's what I would be covering if I were still at work today.
And if I wasn't locked out, I would have interviewed someone about meetings that were held in Yellowknife last week. Now, leaders from all three territories were here to discuss how the federal government comes up with its funding formula. The meetings were chaired by former Premier of Alberta, Peter Lougheed. In fact, at the meeting, he commented on the fact that in spite of being invited, none of the media showed up to cover the discussions. Now, the only reason I know it happened is because I was there working at my new part-time job, working for Pedo Productions. And in fact, as we head into the week 4 of the lockout, I know a lot of my coworkers have had to look for work elsewhere to make ends meet, including Keith McNeil, a TV producer. So Keith, tell me, where are you working?
I'm working at Canadian Tire in the parts department, and I'm also working at Jose Locos, a local watering hole.
All right, a big hand for Keith.
Well, thank you very much.
So tell me, what kind of skills do you have for those jobs?
I don't have any skills for those jobs. I'm learning right from the very beginning, and it's been a learning curve for sure. It's been really interesting learning something that I haven't been involved with before at all. Learning retail, learning the service industry, but it's been a challenge. It's been fun. But you do what you got to do.
So how humbling was it, I guess, an experience to go and apply for these jobs?
Well, the applying was okay because, like I say, you do what you got to do. But learning from people who've been there for a while, and you realize after you've been at a kind of work for something to start over again, it's a challenge. You got to learn, and you got to start from the beginning.
So hopefully you don't fall in love with those jobs and you'll never come back to the CBC again.
No, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm learning a lot, like I said, but I miss where I'm supposed to be, and I want them to unlock the doors and let us back to work.
So why did you choose Canadian Tire?
I knew people there. I knew people in both those places. They seemed like good places where I could probably get in.
Is that your favorite store?
Yeah, it's my favorite store. Yes, it's a place I'd be anyways.
You saved the truth for last. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks.
And another CBC employee who has had to take another job is Cindy McDougall, a radio reporter. Cindy, tell us about your job.
I am working part-time in the deli at our local co-op, and I'm slicing meat.
And so how's that going? Have you still got all your fingers?
All of them are here. Yeah, I'm a big klutz, which anyone who knows me knows well. So when my husband found out I was going to be working at the deli, he's like, shouldn't you work cash? Isn't this dangerous? But yeah, I've got all my digits. It's an okay job.
So what's the hardest part about going to another job?
I love my job at CBC. I love what I do. I love being a reporter. I love covering health, and I miss it so much. So I'm going in there, and I'm working for, $10 an hour or so, and all I can think about all day is, wow, what would I be doing if I was allowed back in that office?
All right, thanks, Cindy.
Thanks.
Now, someone else who is helping us out here this afternoon on the show is Eleanor Sturko. And Elle, how's the job hunting going?
Well, Norbert, thanks for having me up here because I always was told I had a face for radio, so this is really good, fits right in. I actually haven't gotten another job. I've been just picketing, and part of the reason is it's the same for a few people I've been talking to out on the picket line, and it's that apart from working in broadcasting, there's nothing else I ever wanted to do. This is my dream job, and for me, I'm going to stick it out, and I'm walking with my sign. I'm trying to get support for the union, the workers, and really it's about supporting the CBC in the long run for secure jobs and for the good product that we do, and I just can't, right now, I can't even think about doing anything else.
Did you bring a resume?
Yeah, anyway, I did bring a resume. If anyone's looking for a good person with a face for radio, I'm here. I'll be here all afternoon. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Al.
Thanks, Norbert.
And now we're going to get back to some music, and I have my good friend Rick Polteric from Yellowknife. I'm not going to bother introducing him because everybody knows him here. Give it up for Rick Polteric.
Thank you, Norbert. We're tired of the lockout. We're tired of not having anything new and fresh. And CBC all over Canada has backed Canadian people in all their endeavors, but no more, than CBC North. The support they show Northern performers is second to none. We want them back. We'll try this little tune to let them know how we feel. Yes, CBC, well, what have you done to me? I said, CBC, what have you done to me? Yes, you locked your doors, took my radio, left me crappy TV. Yeah, well now, CBC, would you turn back the key? I said, CBC, would you turn back the key? I'm dying to hear the news and get a new episode of Da Vinci. I'm joined by CBC's own Mr. Norbert Patra on bass. That's his job that he's had to take since this thing started. The other night I watched a football game, and for the first time I actually had to look at the television set to figure out what was going on. No voices. Pretty soon they're going to be importing our news from ITV. Yes, CBC, what have you done to me? I said, CBC, what have you done to me? Yeah, by locking the doors, you have stifled my creativity. My CBC, yeah, come on, give us some help. Yeah, now CBC, yeah, come on, give us some help. When our workers retire, don't make them have to look after themselves. I said, now CBC, what have you done to me? Yes, now CBC, what have you done to me? You locked the doors, took my radio, left me crappy TV. Yes, you locked the doors, took my radio, and gave me crappy TV. Thank you very much. Unlock the damn doors, would you?
You're listening to Off the Trail, Locked Out Live. I'm Norbert Petra. And before we get to our next interview, a big hand for Rick Paul Tarek. Off the cuff, he created a song for the CBC. So give it up for Rick Paul Tarek. Now, on the other side of the lockout are the managers that are locked in. And Marie Wilson has been on both sides. She's a former CBC North journalist, and she's also was the regional director during some tough times, including drastic budget cuts, layoffs, and a couple of strikes. Now, Marie, good afternoon.
How are you, Norbert?
I'm good, and you?
I'm okay.
Now you've been on both sides. How do you react to the current lockout? Tell me your thoughts.
Well, I don't have views on the lockout itself. What I felt more for is empathy for all of the workers and the management people. My concern is not on one side or the other of this argument. My concern is the CBC and the state of public broadcasting in our country, and the extent to which a lockout or a strike or any kind of disruption of normal service is a risk to the quality and the loyalty of public broadcasting in our country. I think one of the things as Canadians that we often either lose sight of or are not aware of is how precious our public broadcasting system is in a world where so many countries have nothing to compare with what the CBC is. And I think every time that we lose momentum in the public's hearts and minds and presence, that becomes at risk. And I think that's a very dangerous thing where freedom of speech is held so importantly in our democracy.
Now, I mentioned that the management at CBC over the past years has had to deal with shrinking budgets. How do they keep working towards the mission of public broadcasting faced with less money?
Well, I think that's the fundamental challenge, and I think it's the one where I lose most heart. If it is a national public broadcaster, it has to have national public means to provide excellent service. And with the number of channels and the increased amount of competition we have in the broadcasting sphere now and multimedia, the CBC, and especially on the television side, which over the years through its revenues has also subsidized the radio side, the CBC is forced into a position of having to be competitive like a private broadcaster. It affects programming, it affects the stability of funding, and it affects ultimately the ability to hire, hang on to, and commit to long-time employees. It forces the public broadcaster to do things that the private sector routinely does, which is hire people for project-specific work rather than for the long haul. And I think the culture of the CBC gets really threatened when the whole sense of the CBC as a national broadcast family becomes also threatened. I really wish that we had the means as a nation, or the will, or the prioritization to say national public broadcasting is a fundamental tool of safeguarding our democracy, that we attribute the resources we need to make it strong and powerful, and that we take away the imperative for it to operate as if it's a private broadcaster. And I want to be very clear, that is not the fault of CBC management. I've been at management tables where people fight hard, and very, very hard, both for the CBC North region and for the national service. I think CBC management is in a very tough bind, trying to make a go, trying to remain remain able to compete in an environment where ideally they wouldn't have to compete. So I think we have to look at new funding arrangements that will maintain stability and create an opportunity and the environment for the programmers and the managers who share a vision and a passion for strong public broadcasting in Canada to be able to do their best work.
And they talk about a flexible workforce, and I'm wondering, is it fair that we have to target those people that have been there for years?
You know, I can't comment on the specifics of this strike. Honestly, I haven't been in any of the negotiating rooms. I haven't been at any of the tables, and I don't feel grounded enough in the facts to know what's fair or not fair in this situation. I know something about the overall environment for public broadcasting in Canada today, and that's really where I have my strongest views. What I know about strikes, though, is that they're nasty affairs, and lockouts are a version of that in a way. They're not easy for those on the outside. They're not easy, and don't kid yourself, for those on the inside. And most importantly, they're not easy on the gang when it gets back to work. You know, it's fine to say things like solidarity forever. I was in one of the longest strikes ever in the history of CBC when I was a national reporter in Quebec City. And you know, the solidarity shattered, both between management and programmers, and also among staff. The thing is, when things are good, on good days in broadcasting, and that's most days, people are driven by a common thing, which is a passion and a vision for public broadcasting and for information and truth and informing people so they can make wise decisions about their daily living. In a labor disruption, the focus of that changes, and the longer it goes on, people shift from being driven by passion and vision to being driven by fear. And that brings out a whole different set of attitudes. People say things, write things, do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. And it calls for a hell of a lot of forgiveness and a hell of a lot of patching up before things can even begin to become normal afterwards. And I would just really wish caution on all sides in that regard. Because, as I've often said, and others whom I respect enormously have often said, it's a small north here. It's a very small north. We all need each other, and we can't afford to be isolating ourselves and creating false enemies. So we need to take care in the way we resolve our conflicts so that we can all work well together afterwards, and in this case, so that the public of the north is a recipient of excellent programming for a long time to come.
And do you think you'll come back to CBC one day?
Well, it's trite to say never, but we never know where we are in our life's journey, do we?
All right, thank you very much, Marie.
You're very welcome. Best of luck and good morale to all of you.
Thank you, Norbert. I'd like to introduce now a guy whose face and voice are very familiar to all of you out there. His desk is right next to mine in TV land, and so he's often the first guy that I go to when I need a sounding board on a story. Paul Andrew always has good ideas, sober second thought, and he's an eloquent and respected reporter who, known from one end of the north to the other. And he's certainly earned that in his 21 years at CBC. As it happens, Paul is on his way to Tulita at the moment, and so we won't actually hear his voice or see his face. But anyway, Norbert spoke to him earlier.
I walked into the CBC stations in Inuvik on June 11th at 8 o'clock a.m. in 1984. So this is on my 22nd year.
That's amazing. What's kept you here so long?
The amazing thing about CBC is that we talk to people. We talk to people, and hopefully that will give them the opportunity to do decisions that affect our lives and make those decisions on an informed way, and we do it in Slavey and Gwich'in and Inuktitut and Inuinnaqtun and Denesutline Clinchon, and we do it in a way I hope that people understand and comprehend on a daily basis. And I sense that now, because during the lockout I hear people talk about, we miss you, so they do miss us. So I think we have touched those people, and that's what has kept me around for so long.
So now we're on the outside, we can't get in there and tell those stories. What does it mean to you? How does it feel to be locked out?
I know this is the first for me in 22 years or so that I've been with a corporation, and I've never been locked out. I've never gone on strike, so it is entirely a foreign thing, and it's something that I would not normally like to do. This is not what I'm about.
No, I was, as a lot of people were surprised at a rally. You were all fired up. We hear from a lot of people that saying a lot of the Aboriginal people don't get involved in the union, and yet you're a big supporter of our union. As a matter of fact, at one point you were the president. What do you say to those people that that are shocked to see you with that kind of display that we saw last Friday?
Well, if you care about something, and a lot of people who seen me as a chief in the early 70s were not surprised by that, because they knew what I could talk like. When the passion is there, when the fire is there, it's very easy for it to come out. And the unions have always been important for me, because I've seen the way some people have been treated in the corporation, and it's unfair. Nobody should get that kind of treatment, no matter where you are. And leaving that just up to certain individuals in management position has never been the best thing. So it essentially is fighting for the person who is oppressed or unrepresented and not getting a fair deal. Just the same way that Dene were 30, 40 years ago, when everybody struggled. It wasn't cool to be Aboriginal at that time. It wasn't a good thing to say, I'm a Treaty Indian, because you were discriminated against and you were called lazy, you were called a drunk. So at that time we stood up for that, and we're still standing up for people. And I see the unionists standing up for people who are feeling some of the same kind of pressures because maybe somebody doesn't like them.
So you've only got 3 years. From your opinion, or from your own perspective, tell me what's at stake in your view?
I think what's at stake is programming that we put on air. This is not about money. This is not about security. This is not about, as far as I'm concerned, this is not about those kind of things. It's about the kind of programs that we put on here. If we have people who are on contract I'm not suggesting that people who are on contract do not have the same dedication or loyalty to the corporation, but if you know at the end of the month or at the end of 6 months your contract is at the end, you're going to start looking about something else. You're going to be worried about something else. So in effect, it's going to have an impact on what we put on air. And I think that more than anything else, this corporation is about broadcasting. It's not about administration. It's not about management. It's about broadcasting. It's about putting stuff, information, services to those people out there. And that's what, to me, is at stake. And I mean, 22 years with the corporation, is it all for nothing? If we let it go, somebody mentioned on the picket line, this is the hill to die on. That's a pretty strong statement, but that's the kind of feeling that I think a lot of the picketers across the country are feeling.
Now, I mentioned that you only got 3 years left with the corporation before you officially retire. Have people been courting you to try to come and work for them?
I'm not going to comment on that. I've enjoyed the corporation a lot, and that's one of the reasons I've been here. And one of the reasons is because people like yourself, Norbert. And when we look around here, we see a number of people, picketers, people that we've worked really hard with over the years. And no matter whether it's a community, a country, or a town, it's the people that make a difference. And over the years, I have been honored and privileged to work with some very hard-working, talented, creative people who've many times made my job so much easier by the way they're doing, So leaving those kind of people would not be an easy thing. So I'm not even thinking about that right now. Besides, I'm just 29,
So tell me now, if say someone came up to you and offered you, I guess, the job of a lifetime, would you jump?
Right now, I don't know. Over the years, I have been honored by some offers that have been made from outside of the corporation, and like I said, there's a reason that I stuck around here, and it's mostly people, and I love it, and I love doing the work that I do. I'm always amazed that we travel, we go to various parts of the north, and we see things and do things that other people pay to do, and you can't ask for more than that. You can't ask for more than that, and it's a wonderful job.
So that means we're going to see 3 more years of you on television.
Unfortunately for you and unfortunately for other people, but there are some people who used to say, there's Paul Andrew, he's in my bedroom every night. So there might be some people happy.
Thanks, Paul. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Norbert.
Frankly, you talk about flexibility and the talents and potential that people at the CBC have. It has amazed me to no end that management has not tried to draft Paul Andrew yet into their ranks, because I think he would be great. And speaking of flexibility, just want to acknowledge the producer of this show, which is Jennifer Tilden. She, besides speaking Inuktitut and doing Inuktitut broadcasting, is a television reporter and produced this as well. So there you have it for flexibility. I'm Lee Selleck, and I'm going to turn it over to Norbert. Thanks.
Thank you very much, CBC TV reporter Lee Selleck. And a great job, his first time hosting live. Also, he mentioned Jennifer Tilden, the producer of the show. Today, the director was Eleanor Sturko. Our technical department is Kevin Waldom, who provide all the gear from Dance Away Music Services. None of the gear belongs to CBC, by the way, so it's all his. And also technical support, Torsten Pruz, who's going to turn this into a podcast. It'll be available on the internet tonight. Check out cbcunplugged.com. Also, thanks to our assistant producers, Jocelyn Ozenbrug, Carolyn Ray, Tiffany Thiem, and our chief advisor, believe it or not, was Keith McNeil, the old guy. Peter Hope, thanks to Peter Hope. Thanks to my good friend Rick Polterick, who's going to wrap things up as soon as I'm done here. And godson, Aaron Hernandez as well. Thanks to Dave Miller. Thanks to Cindy McDougall, Aaron Ward, Don Ostrom for producing the little promo that we just heard this afternoon. And a big hand to Richard Gleason. Richard Gleason, the most famous reporter we have. Was that what you said? Most highly respected. You said that with a grin, of course. And let's have a big hand for Julie Green, who has been manning this table every day for the past week and a half. All right, thank you very much. And folks, thanks for showing your support, and I hope that continues until this lockout ends. And we're going to end the show with my good buddy, Rick Polterick. Give it up for Rick.
Thank you, Norbert Pratra, the only radio announcer that can say what and make it sound good. Norbert's going to join me on bass. We're going to just do a little flip-flop and fly. When I get the blues, I turn on CBC. I get the blues, turn on CBC. I feel better when I hear what it's doing for me. It's flip, flop, fly. I don't care if I die. Flip, flop, and fly. I don't care if I die. Don't ever leave me and don't ever say goodbye. Yeah, here comes Norbert Pratra with a microphone. Here comes old Norbert, he's carrying a microphone. Asking questions and bringing everything back home. It's flip, flop, fly. Don't care if I die. Flip, flop, and fly. Oh, yeah, now don't care if I die. Don't ever leave me and you don't ever say goodbye. Yeah, hello, CBC. Hello, CBC. Yeah, don't take it away from me. Come on, CBC. Don't ever leave me and don't ever say goodbye. Little bass solo there, Norbert. Give the man a big round of applause. We'll be putting his baseball cap down on the ground. Please throw quarters into it when you walk by. Flip, flop, fly, oh yeah, now don't care if I die. Flip, flop, fly. Don't care if I die. Don't ever leave me, and you don't ever say. I said now, don't ever leave me. Don't ever say it. Don't ever leave me. Don't ever say goodbye. Thank you very much.